Good morning, everybody. We should start within 5 or so minutes. Let me know if everybody can hear me. Should be, but okay, great. I even put on a nice shirt today. No stains, no mustard stains or anything on this one. So you guys are lucky. Excuse me. That's okay, Terry. All right, we're slowly building our list of participants, so that's good. Um, I'm running early, so don't. I am recording. The one thing about this is when you go on YouTube, we have all these videos up there. I notice that some people are saying there's no sound. The problem is we record from the beginning, and so what happens is in that first 4 or 5 minutes where we wait for everybody to come on, usually it's just silent to see people not doing anything. I should learn how to clip that, I guess, clip that video. But anyway, we'll get to it. All right, hang tough, people. I'll be right back. All right, people, do we see the PowerPoint presentation on your screen? You should see my stupid little face. And sweet. All right, thank you. Can I use one of these disinfectant wipes to wipe down my keyboard? They're like gold now. They're hard to find. Holy moly. So, what's everybody's prediction for when we'll all be back to work or normal, whatever the heck that means? I have the end of April. 14 weeks. Good Lord, I hope not. How you guys jumping? 2021. The heck? No, I think at the end of April. I don't think anyone will be able to done with it longer than that. People are going to go crazy. Okay, we're going to give it a few more minutes. I'm still a couple minutes away, and we've got a little over half people are signed in so far. April to June, as long as people keep doing what they're supposed to do. Well, I would don't be counting on that. Maybe this is the new norm. No, I hope not. James, come on, buddy. Be positive. We're going to be just fine as I put more Perel on my hands. Yes, that's true, dear. Relative, normal is a relative term. I agree. No, you can't hear anybody else, just me. I had to mute people. What we found was uh, we tried it a couple of times, and there was just so many overlapping voices that it just didn't work. So everybody's muted. I'm asking everybody to type in their message. By the way, when you type in your message, you can select either all panelists, which I guess is me, or all panelists and attendees, which means everyone can see your text. People maybe already know that, but I simply wanted to say that again because I noticed when I attended a few of these earlier in the week, we had, I was typing in text for everybody, but most people weren't. So uh, either way is fine with me. I don't care. Yes, Barb, happy Friday. You're right. It is Friday. Doesn't feel like a Friday. But you know what this week feels like for me? It feels like that week in between Christmas and New Year's, where you still got work to do between Christmas and New Year's, but it doesn't really feel like work as such. You're doing things, but no one's really around. That's what this whole week feels like. It's a weird feeling. Okay, I'm going to give it just a few more seconds. We're almost, well, we've got a lot of people logged in already. So there you go. So I've been recording now for 10 minutes. And when if you want to look at this video later on, if you're bored, this first 10 minutes is just me going on and on about nothing really. So unfortunately, the YouTube videos, when I put them up on our channel, I put them up raw, and I don't try to edit them. I don't work on them. Maybe I should, and maybe I'll have to go back and do that. I taught myself YouTube channeling this week, so hopefully we can we'll see what happens. Okay, I think we're just about ready to start. It is now 9:01. I'm going to get started here. We've got just about everybody who registered is up and online. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I realize that this is a crazy time, and I also realize that this is very fluid. I find that what we felt like this time last week is completely different than how we feel this week. And I suspect by next Friday, it's going to be a whole new world again. So keep that in mind. That's kind of the theme for what we're trying to do here. I'm going to cover a few different things. I've got an hour. I'm going to stop along the way. I'm going to get you to type in a lot of questions, ask. I don't care when you ask the question. I'll leave some time at the end so that we can review everything, and I'll open up the doors to allow you to ask whatever questions you wish. But if you wish to ask a question along the way, that's fine. Don't. This is not that scripted, and I would encourage a little bit of back and forth. What I'll do is I'll simply read the question out and give you my best answer. So just some logistics. All of these presentations, including the one that did on Monday by Curtis, the one completed by Eric on Wednesday, is up on our YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is I have a copy of everybody that registered for this session today, along with your email address. I will send out a link to the upcoming session so that you can register, as well as a link to the YouTube channel that'll have all of these sessions, including this one, so that you can look at it whenever you wish. We did that a couple of days ago, and it seems to have done very well. On there as well is Eric's interview with CTV Morning, which he did, I believe it was on, I want to say Monday. And so yeah, so you'll have a chance to have a copy of this. And like I said, you'll hear me babbling on. All the slides obviously will be there. So yeah, so let's start in. First of all, once again, thank you very much. I appreciate that how many people have registered here. We have almost 100 people or so, which is my max. I can't handle any more than 100 people, so that's good. What I'm going to cover today is I'm going to cover some account management tools in light of all the stuff that's been happening in the last few weeks. But to start with, realizing this is the end of our work week, so to speak, I want to review a little bit of what we've already done this week, and then I'll jump into what we're going to talk about today. The reason I'm doing this is because, frankly, the way we try to build these sessions was to make it relevant to what's happening. And frankly, when I look back at the way we put this together, I realized that one is building on the other. So what we did here, let's see if I can advance this here. There we go. So what we did was we started on Monday with Curtis going through LinkedIn, which was an amazing course, quite frankly. A lot of stuff there that I had no idea about, or that I didn't really use very much. And again, the copy of his presentation will be on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to look at that. And then on Wednesday, Eric went through what was called the batting average. And it was really that idea of looking at all those things that get caught in your head, that head trash, that keeps you from doing a better job, feeling better about what you're doing, and really just falling down a little bit as far as your routine. And obvious reasons. I mean, we're going through a lot in the last couple of weeks, so it's a very hard thing to maintain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to review those two sessions just a little bit. For those of you who have already been there and seen it, it'll be a refresher. For those of you who haven't, you'll understand some relevance as to what and how we put some of these things together. So the first one was really on LinkedIn when Eric, when Curtis was going through this, what he was doing, the thrust of the presentation was to say, listen, guys, you're missing a really great opportunity to get in touch with A, your accounts, and B, your prospects. The networking ability of LinkedIn is fantastic. The amount of information on there is fantastic. And frankly, most people, when they put their profile together, are probably a little sloppy. I know I was. When I looked at my profile, I realized I had a long way to go as to improving the nature of what I was doing there. So Curtis really said, listen, guys, here's what you need to do in order to make your presence on LinkedIn a little bit better. One of them is simply as adding a picture of yourself, a photo, improving that whole profile title section. What do you actually do? I'm a salesperson. No, I help people with training, sales training needs. I help actually bring teams work better together. I help I help facilitate with leadership training. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can describe it. Think of the pain points that you're working on and what your product or service solves, and that's probably your best description. The reason for this is simply to add to when people are searching for something, when they type that in, if they type in something like, I need some sales training for my team, my profile has a good chance of showing up because of some of the extra information that I put on my site. So the other thing, of course, is it's a great place to join a lot of teams and associations. I know in my own case, one of my prospect channels is in hotels. You know, they train their staff, hospitality, booking events. And so I was able to join a group on there. And from there, I was able to end up doing a speaking engagement just through the contacts I was making on LinkedIn. So I really think that's a great tool. I know that right after that session on Monday, I went in and totally redid my profile section because it was terribly incomplete. So one of the other things, and this is a great trick that I've been doing all week, and I'm sure most of you that are going to connect with me on LinkedIn are going to be sick of hearing me, but I actually use my mobile device, and on LinkedIn, when you're ready to leave a message, you can actually hit the speaker. It only works on mobile devices. You can actually hit the speaker and you can leave a voice message. So if I'm connecting with Eric or I'm connecting with Curtis, I can say, hi, Curtis, it's Mark Russo from Sandler. Great that we were able to connect. Really looking forward to having a conversation. Let me know what your schedule's like. Boom, I send that off. That is so powerful. I got to tell you, it's probably one of the eye-opening things that I learned from Curtis on Monday during that session. Similar to when I first started Sandler, I was looking at upfront contracts. Upfront contract blew my mind at how useful it was. It's one of those tools that I use all the time. LinkedIn is one of those others. It's a fantastic thing. So if you have a chance, take a look at it and take a look at the video. You'll see some information there. So the point of LinkedIn wasn't just to put your profile together and leave it. It really was to say, hey, you've got to start networking on this. You've got to block some time, something we'll get into a little bit later. Block some time on your calendar. Say, I need to spend a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour a day digging down into who these prospects are. I want to learn about the person, their title, the company, their past, anything I can before I just reach out and give them a blind email and say, hey, I'm Mark with Sandler. Do you guys need any sales training? So it's a great way to really dig down. I know that Curtis is a premium member. It's not cheap. I went online, I looked at it. I think Curtis mentioned it was 34. When I went on there, I saw a price, and I don't know much about it, but it was $64.99 a month. That seemed kind of pricey to me. So I think there's probably a little bit more digging that I have to do before I take a look at going to a premium level. But even using the level that I'm using now, it's like anything else. It's sort of like, I said this to Curtis the other day, it's sort of like looking at Excel and learning pivot tables for the first time. You're like, oh my God, I had no idea that this could happen. So it really was an eye-opening experience. So as far as the personal connection goes, it's great for referrals. We have lots of people on LinkedIn. I think I have about 900 connections there. And Curtis is right. One of the cool things about it is this person is friends with these 3 other people that I'm trying to get a hold of. And guess what? Hey, can you open a door for me? Can you just refer? Or is there a way I should approach this person? Asking for some advice. So it really is a great tool. Watch the video. It was on Monday. It's talk about using LinkedIn as a fantastic sales tool. Look at the video. It's fantastic. Then on Wednesday, I got to jump along here because I babble. On Wednesday, what we did was we started talking. Eric did a session on your batting average. And for those of you who don't understand what that is, batting average is for behavior, attitude, and technique, BAT. And the idea behind that was, in order for me to do a better job at what I'm doing, I need to support all three of these uh, areas in order to have what success means to me. Success may mean your enjoyment out of your job, it may mean money, it may be advancement, maybe a lot of things. The attitude being your head trash. What do I think of myself, my company, my job, my coworkers, my customers? The whole idea of behavior. Am I putting in a full day? Well, I'm trying to do all the proper things that I need to do. And then the technique. The technique is that area that we work on, which is all those different sales tools that you put together in techniques to make all of these things happen. So when these are working, I think it's a spiral to success. When they're not working, it's a spiral downward. And it's so easy for us, especially now, to have our attitude really get in the way of some of the things that we can be doing. Eric talked about what's controllable and what's uncontrollable. And that's a great point, because the fact is, right now we feel helpless. Right now, a lot of us are feeling just a little bit a deer in the headlights, meaning I don't know what to do next. I'm frozen. I'm standing there and I really don't know where I should move or what I should happen next. So what do we do? How do we get rid of some of that? Is by making a decision on something, anything, small decisions, things that will allow us to move forward. The idea of staying positive, the idea of working with a mentor or being a mentor yourself. Helping others is a great way to reinforce some of the things that we already know we should be doing. So we're great at teaching it, we're not always good at following it. And I can tell you that when I give advice or I'm talking with somebody, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I should probably be doing that myself a heck of a lot more. So it really is a way to say things out loud. And also a really cool point here at the end is doing that one uncomfortable thing every day that takes you outside of that comfort zone. The bottom line is we are siloed in to the way we like to do things. We don't move out of that because it's comfortable, it's safe, and it's predictable. But a lot of times it just holds us back from what we really need to do. So that was a fantastic session on that. So really what we're looking at here is, okay, guys, here is your attitude. Here is that head trash that you're working on. Here's what you should do to help build yourself up and keep yourself positive during these next few weeks, a month, 2 months, before everybody sort of gets back together and for a regular work week. And by the way, here's a fantastic sales tool that doesn't require us to have a personal one-on-one, face-to-face discussion, but I can still get a lot of information from them by using LinkedIn. So we have some of that attitude stuff, working on it every day. We have a brand new tool that a lot of us, myself for the most part, have not really used that much. And so now we're going to start talking about what are we going to do? How are we going to start executing some of the account management stuff? And what does that look like now as opposed to what it looked like, say, even 2.5 weeks ago? So the first thing I'm going to do, and bear with me if I make a mistake here, is I'm going to do a quick little poll question. And I simply want you to, let's see if I can do it here. Answer the question, what the heck have you been doing lately? How have you been spending your time? Oops, yeah, that's not the right one. Hang on, guys. Great. So everyone's doing pretty good. I asked this poll question backwards, so sorry about that. I made a mistake. For those people doing great, that's fantastic. For those people doing not so good, I get it. If we're honest, what this looks like varies according to what day of the week or even what time of the day we're in. I'm sure it's like a roller coaster, just like this graph looks right now. It's incredibly hard to keep a great attitude. It's incredibly hard to say, I am doing fantastic all the time. It's just tough. So thanks very much. Most of us seem to be doing pretty good. And then we do have a percentage that are so or not good. I get that. It's a very, very tough thing to face. And that's fantastic. All right, so I'll stop it there, close that poll, and move on. What I'd like you to do next is write down for yourself what do you really want out of this session on account management today. You can put, I gave you 6 different spots, but think about the top 1, 2, 3 things that you would really like to get out of this session today. And when I ask, give it a few minutes, think about it, write it down. And when I ask, I want you to take one of them and just type it in the dialog box, in the chat box. And I'll just read off a few, make a note, and see if we can't cover some of that stuff off a little bit. Take a few seconds, think about it, and when you're ready, just put it in there. All right, these are great questions. These are great points. I love this stuff. Day-to-day self-management, tracking system, techniques, how to ask for a sale without sounding like you're being careless, how to stay motivated. You know what? That's a great one. How to stay motivated. That's a fantastic one. You should definitely take a look at Eric's session on Wednesday. He went through that in some detail. It's a great job. Balancing out caring and closing. I agree. That's a very tough one. How do I move business forward? How do I stay in touch with customers who may have other things going on at the time? I agree. That's a really tough one. Okay, fantastic. Keep it coming. I have no problem typing as many different responses as you wish. The reason I'm doing this is I actually save a copy of these texts, and it's just a great way for us to review. The other thing is that what we're doing is we've already got the sessions built for next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I suspect what we'll end up doing is we're going to look at some of these concerns and some of these things that you guys are challenged with and want out of some of these sessions. And there's definitely a way to build some of this stuff into the coming sessions. So the more you put there, the better. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's the first question I have. And it obviously you can't answer it except for texting, but I'm going to assume that we are having conversations. And what I mean by that is, are we having real conversations with our accounts? Or are we simply getting on the phone and saying, hey, just checking in, seeing how you're doing, let me know if there's anything I can do for you? Okay. 1, you made the call, so I think that's important. 2, you definitely asked, how they're doing, if there's anything you can do. But I'm sure they've got a lot of those calls. So really, I think what you have to do is you have to start looking at a chance to start building more of a bonding rapport. If you have an account that you have sort of a business relationship with, this may be an opportunity. Let's face it, when you're talking about digging through pain, there's a lot of pain going on there right now. When I'm talking to an account and they're having an issue, sometimes what happens is we will get to the pain funnel and we'll start digging down. We'll ask that first question. What seems to be the problem? We're losing sales. So you don't want to stop there. You want to dig down a little bit. And a lot of times what ends up happening is you're getting to the point where this guy is saying, the business owner is saying, you know what, Mark, if I don't turn this around soon, I'm going to have to start laying people off. Or people are not going to get a bonus at the end of the year. Now you're looking at real pain. This is emotional pain. Well, I think with the latest circumstances that we're facing right now, people are there pretty fast. I mean, we're already seeing people being laid off. I'm sure some of you are concerned about that. We're already seeing things that are being canceled and or delayed. That's happened to us. We have business that had been booked. We had a huge April booked. And a lot of it has, luckily, a lot of the stuff we've been able to transfer and put it online. But some of it, frankly, was some custom work that we just had to delay. And what will happen is, I think that it'll be delayed till like the summer or the fall. I mean, that's great. We still have the business, but it's tough. It's a tough thing to face. So one of the things I think you need to do when you think about when I need to have conversations, when I need to have conversations with my accounts, I need to think a little bit differently. Have a more, I wouldn't say an emotional discussion, but have a discussion where they're saying, how are you doing, right? How is your family doing? What are you doing now, for example? What are you doing now to stem the tide? How long can you hold out? And what is your plan for afterward? I mean, this is a real chance for us to learn more about our accounts. Who are they? How resilient are they? What are their teams made up of? What are some of the issues that they're facing right now? And if there's something I can do, great. Let's find out what that is together. But also, I want them to be knowing that I'm here and that I want to be top of mind for them. So when this thing is stopping and we're starting to ramp up again, and we will, I want to be one of the first people that they think of when they need some sales training. I want to be the first people they think of when I need to do some advertising or when I need a different service or a product or whatever it is I'm selling. And the only way to do that is you can't push for an order. I don't know if this is the best time to be pushing to close a sale as much as it's a great time to stay in touch with my account and maybe do some prospecting. Because I don't want to just call accounts that I already have, though I think that's very important. I also want to be able to prospect a little bit. Listen, I know this is a tough time. We don't usually do business. I'm simply calling to say, hey, this is what we're doing for the next few weeks, a month. I'm just trying to see how you guys are handling everything. And sometimes it's a very emotional conversation. I've had a couple of them myself where these people are facing some really, some tough situations. So, what's the plan? What's your plan? What is your company doing? Are we trying to stay in touch with everybody? First things first, I would try to stay in touch with my accounts. Obviously, I want to know I'm here, but I also want to stay in touch with my team. In other words, the people that you usually work with, you should be staying in touch with them. Nobody in the company should feel isolated. For example, we have daily meetings, huddles, team huddles. Sometimes there's a lot to talk about. Other times we're simply talking about, hey, what's happening? So think about that in terms of keeping your team somewhat alert, engaged, finding out how they're doing. Because when things do turn around or when you have something to work on, you need to know that they're out there and they're ready and they can help you. You need to know what the state is of that company. So what's your plan like for the next few weeks? Okay, so for example, maybe the average plan for most of the people I've talked to is I want to stay in touch with my accounts. I want to maintain what I have. And I want to just let them know that I'm thinking about them and that I'll be there maybe in the future. When they're ready, I'll be ready. So great. Next, what is going to happen in a month's time, 6 months' time, a year's time? Let's face it, when this thing is over and we all start going back to work, everything's just not going to ramp up to exactly where it left off. It's going to take time for these things to happen. So just as you're not hitting your accounts too hard right now, Monday morning, everybody back to work. You can't just expect everything to just snap like that. You have to use your upfront contract. And if you don't know what that is, I'll talk a little bit about it in a second. You have to use your upfront contract for your accounts to say, this is what I would like to discuss. Here's what I think you're facing. Here's what we're doing. And here's the outcome. And I think that's going to be very important because as soon as we get everybody back in, you got to know that every one of your competitors and every other sales company or every other company that your accounts are talking to are all going to be flooding them with calls and emails, expecting everything to pick up where it left off. You probably have some contracts that you're thinking, well, you know what, this is a little delayed, but as soon as I get back in a month's time, I'll be able to close that on Tuesday. That may not be the case. You may have to take a re-examination of that situation. And if you look at your sales funnel or you look at the process that we teach here at Sandler, you may have been pushed back a couple of notches and have to start the process, maybe not from the beginning, but may have to go back and look at the situation again, re-examine the pain funnel. Is it still the same? Are those issues still the same? Is the product or service they needed from you still going to be there on day one or day two? Or are, like you, they're going to have to go to their accounts and find out when that project starts up again? Hard to say. But without these conversations and without this planning, you're never going to know. So definitely you want to call your accounts, right? Are they working? Listen, some people are going like gangbusters right now. I can tell you, I have a few friends in the food industry that are supplying Sobeys, Loblaws, and so on, and these guys couldn't be busy if they tried. Now, it's all in fulfillment. There's not a lot of sales work, and there's not a lot of pain funnel activity because, frankly, the pain is real, and when they have to fulfill an order, they're not even being asked too many challenging questions, and not a lot of options. Trucking companies, I guarantee those guys are full tilt. So there are some people that are working. Do I think that environment is different than regular? Yes. Yes. I think it's all about closing and fulfilling more so than doing the pain funnel. But the way you fulfill your orders, the way you work with your accounts will be very important for the fact that you don't want them to think that you are taking advantage of the situation. They don't want to be felt like you have them over a barrel. And when things do go back to normal, they want to know that you were not a vendor, you were a real advisor or a partner that was working with them to help them in this tough time. Just like we have a few accounts that says, you know what, guys, I really want to do this. I don't know if I can pay right now, or I'm having a hard time. I don't know if my people can do this class. They certainly can't go in. No problem. We're going to do this online. We're going to do the same thing, only we'll do it online. They're at home. We want to keep them fresh. Here's what our plan is. Oh, and by the way, we're going to offer some free sessions Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and not necessarily talk just about Sandler stuff, but we're going to talk about a bunch of different issues. That's why I have so many people registered for all these sessions. People want to stay engaged, and we want to be able to help them. So we're going to probably handle these sessions for the next several weeks until this whole thing passes. And maybe after that. I mean, this has proved to be a fantastic area just to have a conversation and a chance for people out there that don't normally talk to us or don't normally engage in this kind of information, that they're getting a lot of value out of it. And frankly, we love giving them. So anyway, when do you call your prospects? You should have already called your prospects and or accounts. especially your accounts. You should have called them at least once a week if it makes sense. Maybe in some cases it doesn't make sense. But the fact is, the more you stay in touch with them, listen, I'm just checking in. Things change. They may have been very busy last week and all of a sudden things dried up and now this week they're almost stopped. If you don't stay in touch with them, you're not going to know what's happening. And you need to understand what they're doing in week 1, week 8, week 10. What does that game plan look like? They might not have completely realized it themselves, but it's a conversation you should have so that when you're looking at your planning, when you're looking at your funnel, when you're looking at your activity, where should I be spending my time? And to that end, we have something called CARE. And I'll get into that in a second. It's a chance for us to use a bit of a model of how do I look at my accounts? How do I divide my accounts up as to who I go after and who I don't? And a lot of that has to do with whether you're a hunter or a farmer. I know we've all heard that before. I would say a lot of, say right now, we're doing a lot of more farming. We're maintaining. You know, we're trying to make sure that the crop of accounts, if you will, that we're working with are happy and that they know we're here. We don't want to lose anybody. So really, as I said, it's a tool used to help segment the accounts that we're working on. And I think it's very important that we look at how this is put together. And we should be looking at this right now for what we're doing right now and what we're doing in a week's, month's time, and then how is this going to change when we all go back to work full time. So CARE is made up of keep, attain, recapture, and expand. And I'll go through each one of them. But I would say for the most part, most people are looking to keep accounts. And that's not a bad idea. Let's face it, the most important thing right now is to make sure that these accounts are happy and that they know that you're there. So to that end, if we look at keep, these are your blue chip accounts. These are the accounts that are bringing in the money. These are the guys that are paying the bills on a regular basis. We all have them, okay? So I think it's very important that we look at, that the fact that they really have a low level of vulnerability. They have they're as far as the investment and the ROI, the amount of time I spend on this account with what I get back from them is pretty strong in my favor. I'm feeling really good about these keep accounts, these blue chip accounts, and we all have them. I think it's important that we're very mindful of who they are and what their needs are. We have a few accounts here that are very large, but I guarantee you the world has changed. So what am I going to do to help them? And the only way I can figure that out is by having those conversations with them. The next is the attain. This is your new business target. Now, you may even have some right now, or at the very least, these are accounts that you should be thinking of. If I am using, for instance, as Curtis showed us on Monday, if I am using my LinkedIn tools correctly, I should be spending some of my time when I'm not farming my current accounts or keeping my current accounts. I should be planning on who these new guys are going to be. This is your chance to sit down and map out who my top 20 accounts is. Is it the same? Has it changed from a month ago? What can I learn about them that I didn't know before? Some of that's going to be done through LinkedIn, finding out who the new people are, the contacts are, a little bit about their business. But I think some of it's also going to be from the fact that you're going to have some conversations with these guys. These are going to be really soft conversations. They're going to use very softening words such as, you know what, I understand that this is a really tough time. Typically, we wouldn't have these conversations right away. But, I would like to be able to just have a conversation, see how things are going, and understand a little bit more about some of the stuff that you guys are facing. Similarly, the idea of recapturing. Who was this account previously? Are they still happy? Think about who these people are going to be and what kind of accounts are these going to be. And then, of course, the ability to expand. So when I have some current accounts, I'm pretty happy with them. The ability to expand a current account is, have you really taken a look at what they're doing? There may be a huge opportunity for us there to talk about an account now who already has a game plan in place for the next month, so that when things turn around and the business starts flowing normally, they may have a whole new expansion plan of how they're going to increase their sales or increase their profile. Are you part of that plan? Do you understand what that is? Is there anything that you can do to help that along? You need to have these conversations with these accounts. Trust me, they're as wanting to get things turned around and prep for what's going to happen in the next month as much as you are, maybe more so. If you're a small business, I can tell you for a fact, we are a small business. We are constantly thinking about what is going to happen. How do we build our brand identity? How do we continue to offer what we have to our current accounts? And what are we doing to think about new accounts and how are they going to be approached? That's what we're doing right now. If you look at Sandler, for example, we have some current accounts that we want to maintain, so we offered all that online. They're still there. They're still working great and offering them a fantastic product. Two, I have new accounts that I would like to get. How do I get them? Where are they coming from? Well, I don't know. I'm doing some prospecting. I'm doing some looked at through LinkedIn. Oh, and by the way, I'm offering some free sessions Monday, Wednesday, Friday to just maintain a presence. To maintain a presence, find out who else is out there, and simply have some conversations. There is no hard sell. It's not like we're going to do this and start charging people for it next week. We're very happy to do what we're doing, but it's also a way to have conversations. Your texts and things that you've been sending us over the last little bit has been invaluable. We are going to look at all these comments and things that you guys are really trying to work on, and we're going to be able to turn that around and put that into some of the content for the upcoming sessions. So your feedback really will help dictate where some of this stuff goes. So I guess the one thing I will say about this is that I think it works now as much as it did last month. Your best client is your competition's best prospect, but that's a two-way street. That account that you felt was unattainable a month ago may be going through a bit of a crisis like everyone else is, and this may be an opportunity for you to have at least have a conversation. You should be busy building your plan as to what I am going to do next. How do I do that? I do that by building a cookbook. Your cookbook lays out your week from Monday to Friday. It says, what are the biggest things that I need to be doing? This cookbook here may not be the cookbook for a month ago or from 2 months from now, but it's your cookbook that you should be looking at right now. What percentage of time am I doing building, maintaining the current accounts that I have? What is the percentage of time that I am going to be looking at new networking opportunities? No, nobody's getting together, no one's meeting, but that doesn't mean I should be looking at what groups I should be looking at in the coming future, in the coming weeks. How much time am I spending on LinkedIn doing research? How much time am I spend on LinkedIn finding out what my prospects are and what am I using to track that information? Now, some people have CRMs like Salesforce or, pardon me, there's lots of different ones out there. We currently use Salesforce. But the idea here is that you can track information about an account, about the people, their key accounts, their key people that you should contact, what some of the challenges are, what some of the news, even in LinkedIn, you find out what some of the latest news is on what that account has been doing the last little while. So when I'm looking at my cookbook, I'm looking at maintaining my accounts. I'm looking at prospecting for networking events. I'm looking at setting up online appointments. I'm looking at the idea that I'm going to use this to measure out my day, and I'm going to put it so I track it on a weekly basis. So, for example, in this particular case, it would be new business development, or in your case, it may simply be maintaining current accounts. How many calls I'm going to do? My weekly goal is 20 new calls. It may be more, it may be less. Track them every day. Every call you make, put it in there. What appointments do I have set? What referrals am I asking for? How many new accounts or how many current accounts have I called? Track all that information so that it's in there and that you understand what's happening. And if you're having a hard time with some of that, sometimes we use what we call color blocking or time blocking. And what we're doing there is simply visually, we're looking at a map of what it is that's happening. So in other words, I have colors that I would say I'm spending some of my time in orange here that I'm doing training. I'm looking at green, there are their actual account meetings. Whatever those lists of duties that you're doing, they should be in there and they should be mapped out for you. You should be using these tools to find out what's happening. Does anybody use something like this, like a cookbook, or do you have a calendar which has time blocking on it? Anybody out there doing that kind of thing? Just out of curiosity. Barb, yes? Great. Tracy, fantastic. Yeah, the time block thing is kind of cool. Eric taught me a little bit about that, and it's fantastic. The cookbook is really great. It shows you what it is that you're doing, or more importantly, what it is that you're not doing. Let's face it. Let's not be naive. I know that right now it's hard to keep yourself motivated. It's hard to make sure that I'm maintaining the proper attitude and the proper behavior so that I'm filling out my cookbook. But I'll say this, you can't be too hard on yourself. We're all going through a bit of a situation in which we're trying to recognize the current environment that we're in. Your cookbook should reflect whatever it is that you're currently going through. That whole idea of time blocking, color coding should reflect what it is that you guys are currently doing now. But you should fill it up. You should fill it up with whatever it is that you should be working on right now. And I can't determine that for you, obviously. But when it comes down to it, what we're going to be talking about is that idea of no paid time versus paid time. I can spend an entire day working on things that aren't moving the needle forward one bit. It's great to look at research. It's great to look at this time. You know what? This is fantastic. I get my paperwork done. I get all my expenses finished. I get everything organized that I always said I was going to work on. That's great. And if you want to put some of that into your cookbook, no problem. But that's not necessarily paid time. It's not like you have nothing to do. So the idea of paid time versus no paid time is prospecting, calling my current accounts, servicing my accounts, because I'm not necessarily in sales mode as much as I am in fulfillment. That's paid time right now. That may have been paid time a month ago. Maybe working fulfillment is like, well, other people should be doing that, or we have a whole department that does that. Right now, that's not the case anymore, or fulfillment is everything, so I'm putting all my time and effort in to make sure that what orders I do have coming in, or what customers are looking to have help, I'm there helping them. That, in my opinion, would be paid time. Why? Because it's something that has to be done for the company right now. It's a chance for you to build more bond and rapport with an account that sees you as rolling up your sleeves and helping out and maintaining a good relationship. That's paid time. Cleaning your office, Redoing your paperwork? Maybe not. But because of that situation, don't forget your idea of your prospecting may be paid time as well. You may spend an hour and a half a day on LinkedIn in which you're finding brand new accounts that you didn't know existed, or finding new individuals there that you had no idea that were even on the list of people you should be talking to. So that's good. That may be good spending of your time. So the whole idea of paid time versus paid time, I think, has to be re-looked at. And I think you have to be honest with yourself. Full disclosure, we have really took a lot of time to figure out what it is we're going to be doing for the next few weeks. And what I'm telling you is exactly what we're doing. We're looking at what our current accounts are, what new accounts we should be thinking about or working on, how do we maintain the accounts that we currently have, and how are we still building brand awareness and awareness of what we are and who we are to the general public. We're not cold calling. They don't want to hear from us right now. Or they're not really ready to have a big, long conversation of what's happening. I get that. But we still have to still maintain a presence. You want to make sure that you are looking toward the future. You're staying positive. And I really think there's an opportunity out there. I think the people that work hard now are going to come out of this looking much stronger in a month's time. Guys, I'm going to ask some questions, but before I do, one other thing that I wanted to mention was you have an app online, and I checked. It's both on your iPhone as well as Android. It's on the App Store on both different kinds of devices. And it's called My Sandler, and what it does is it's completely free. There's no price for this. And what it does is it gives you full access to all the techniques and all the information that Sandler has out there. A lot of it you've already, if you've taken Sandler courses, you'll recognize a lot of the different categories of information, from foundations to talking about blind spots in your, in your accounts. And it talks about all the different segments of the Sandler submarine. How do I do prospecting? What's bottom rapport? What is my upfront contract? The upfront contract, just because I told you before I would talk about it, the upfront contract is a way for me to get myself in front of an account to say, Eric, I am going to meet with you tomorrow morning from 9 to 10. I understand that you have some issues that you would like to discuss concerning training, your staff, assessments, and so on. I also have a few issues that I would like to discuss and show you how we treat some of those. At the end of that discussion, I'd like to talk about whether we move forward or not. So you're talking about the time, the purpose, their agenda, your agenda, and the next steps. And the reason we do that is because everybody's time is valuable. And we don't want to call up and just say, hey, can we have a chat? I would say most business owners don't have time for that. So the upfront contract is one of those things that allows you to set you apart as being somewhat different. That will be in here. So in the My Sandler app, you will have a chance to look at all the different negotiation, the selling system, upfront contract, and all the different techniques. It's all on there. Guys, I only have a little bit of time left. I just wanted to ask if there was any questions or anything else you'd like to go through. Anything outstanding? Anything? How useful was this? Let me ask that. I mean, was it? You know, the thing is, this is something that, like I said, we didn't want to offer a Sandler training course completely. I mean, but what we wanted to do was really spend some time going through some of these things and really trying to find out your concerns. So if there's anything in particular that you want to go through or you would like to see discussed in upcoming sessions, let us know. We always try to put a few different techniques in there. It's not a full Sandler class, but it is a chance for you to ask some questions, get some feedback. I will say this before we wrap everything up. I know it's hard to stay motivated. I understand that it's hard to keep moving forward sometimes. And I also understand that you're not alone in this. And to that end, I will say, though, that you really need to maintain a really good working relationship with all of your staff. This is very important to us here. A lot of times when we have a morning huddle, and you should really take this back to your company. You should talk to your boss and your or your coworkers and say, I would like to simply have a call every morning at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Maybe it's just 20 minutes. What are we going to talk about? What are we doing? What do we need to do? How are you feeling? Maybe you just want to stay in touch with everybody. Make sure that everybody's okay. The best source of information and the best motivator in your situation is going to be someone that understands exactly what it is you're going through, and that's your coworkers. Your coworkers will always be the first person on the front line that understands what's happening, because they're there as well. They want the company to do well. They want things to move forward. I think if you take anything away from this, what are we going to do with our accounts? Talk about it out loud. Try to develop a plan that works for you. The one thing I'll tell you about Sandler is a fantastic tool, but you have to make it your own. Calling with accounts, trying to maintain connection and farming on accounts you already have is very important. But you have to do it in the method that works best for you guys. Have those conversations inside your company. What is your company's account plan? Do we already know there is? Do they know what it is? Have they broadcasted it across the rest of the company? Talk to other salespeople inside your firm. A lot of times they're spread out all over the map. Have those conversations. That should be your first thing you do before, and calling any other your accounts, call your coworkers. Trust me, they're going through the exact same situation that you are, and they will be your best way to motivate yourself. Listen, thanks everybody. There are 3 more sessions, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, next week. I am going to send off a link to everybody here. Everyone will have a copy of it. And I will have a copy of this session up on YouTube, and I'll have a link for that as well. I promise you, everybody that registered today will get a link to all the upcoming sessions, as well as a YouTube channel for everything we've already done. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Have a great Friday. And things are going to be fantastic. My personal prediction, by the way, end of April. Let's see. Hopefully it will do as well. Thanks, everybody. Take care.